By the late 19th century, Japan's world was changing faster than ever. The Meiji Restoration had launched the country into a new era, one that embraced Western ideals, technology, and institutions. For centuries, the samurai had been Japan's protectors, living by the Bushido code that demanded loyalty, honor, and duty above all else. They were more than soldiers. They were a symbol of Japan's soul, the keepers of tradition and the defenders of culture. But now, in this era of rapid transformation, the Meiji government was discarding the past to secure Japan's future as a modernized power. The feudal domains were dissolved, and with them went the power of the daimyo and the samurai class. Laws forbade the samurai from carrying their swords in public, stripping them of their most sacred symbol. The samurai's prize stipends, which once ensured their loyalty and livelihood, were abolished, leaving them financially and socially adrift in a world that seemed to have no place for them. Every factory that rose, every law passed, was another step away from the values that had defined Japan for centuries. To many samurai, the Western uniforms, the rifles, and the modern military units felt like an insult to everything they stood for. They had been Japan's guardians, yet now they watched as Japan turned its back on them. And so, resentment and discontent began to grow, simmering beneath the surface, ready to ignite into rebellion. At the heart of this growing resistance was one man, Saigo Takamori. Born to a samurai family in Kagoshima, Saigo had risen to prominence as a key supporter of the Meiji Restoration. He had helped overthrow the shogunate and supported the emperor's rise to power, believing it would strengthen Japan. But what he saw in the government's actions weighed heavily on him. Saigo was a complex man, a fierce warrior with a deep sense of loyalty and honor, but also a patriot who loved his country above all. He believed in modernizing Japan, yet he could not accept the abandonment of samurai values, nor the injustices he felt were inflicted upon the samurai by the very government he had helped establish. To him, modernization was not meant to erase Japan's heritage or dishonor its warriors. Returning to Kagoshima, he established military academies for samurai and began training men, emphasizing the old ways, the values of Bushido, and the honor of serving one's country. Though he avoided open rebellion at first, his teachings ignited a fire among the disillusioned samurai. They saw Saigo not only as a leader but as the last true samurai, a man who represented what they once were, and what they hoped they could be again. And so, as discontent turned into determination, Kagoshima became the heart of a new movement. Saigo and his followers believed they could redeem the spirit of the samurai, and with it, the soul of Japan. They would not be forgotten, nor would they be erased by history. And under Saigo's leadership, they began to prepare for what would become the last stand of the samurai. Despite his growing defiance, Saigo Takamori initially sought a peaceful solution. He wrote to the government, hoping to discuss the plight of the samurai and the need for reforms that respected Japan's past. But in Tokyo, the response was far from what he had hoped. The government leaders viewed Saigo's actions with suspicion, fearing that his influence might lead to insurrection across the provinces. Unwilling to risk unrest, the Meiji government sent troops to Kagoshima, not to negotiate, but to quell any sign of rebellion before it could begin. They seized the city's arsenals and confiscated weapons, hoping to weaken Saigo's forces. To the government, this was a necessary precaution. To Saigo, it was an insult, a sign that the government saw the samurai as a threat rather than an ally. Tensions reached a breaking point as the samurai of Kagoshima, seeing the government's actions as a betrayal, rallied around Saigo with even greater resolve. What began as a movement for honor and respect had now transformed into open defiance. Saigo's men took up their swords, their bows, and what firearms they had, preparing for the ultimate stand against a government they could no longer trust. The die had been cast. Saigo knew there was no turning back. He had tried to avoid conflict, but he would not abandon the honor of his people. His resolve echoed the sentiments of his ancestors, a belief that to die with honor was better than to live in disgrace. And so, the Satsuma Rebellion began, not just as a battle for political power, but as a fight for the soul of Japan. The opening clash of the rebellion would take place at Tabaruzaka, a strategic pass in the rugged terrain of Kyushu. 4 days, Saigo's samurai held their ground against wave after wave of imperial soldiers. Armed with little more than swords and outdated firearms, the samurai faced a brutal fight. The imperial troops, equipped with rifles and artillery, bombarded them with relentless precision. Despite their disadvantages, the samurai fought with an unwavering spirit, taking to the muddy hills with an iron will that seemed to defy the elements and the odds. The battlefield became a place of legends, where warriors on both sides displayed extraordinary bravery. It was as though the past and the future were clashing directly, with the samurai fighting not only to survive but to protect the essence of a dying era. For over 2 weeks, the battle raged in the pouring rain, with no clear victor. Imperial soldiers would later recount their awe at the ferocity and skill of the samurai, who fought against the tide of modernity itself. For the samurai, it was a battle of spirit, a testament to the values that had defined them for centuries. As the rebellion escalated, Saigo's closest allies gathered around him, warriors who had stood beside him through countless battles and believed in his vision for a Japan that honored its past. Men like Kirino Toshiaki, who had a fierce reputation for his courage, and Beppu Shinsuke, whose tactical mind had often saved them in dire situations, were among those who shared Saigo's conviction. In the dim light, the tension was palpable. Each warrior knew the risks ahead. The specter of defeat loomed over them like a dark cloud. Saigo, however, inspired hope. He reminded them of their purpose. We are the guardians of our way of life, the keepers of our honor. We cannot let this new government erase our existence. His words resonated deeply, igniting a fire within them. Together, they recalled the ideals of Bushido, the samurai code, emphasizing loyalty, honor, and sacrifice. For these men, dying for their cause was not just acceptable, it was a noble end to a life devoted to the principles they cherished. With every word spoken, their bonds of brotherhood grew stronger, fortifying their resolve to fight against overwhelming odds. They had chosen their path, and there was no turning back. With newfound determination, Saigo and his men laid siege to Kumamoto Castle, a strategic stronghold that represented not only a military objective but also a symbol of imperial authority. For days they fought bravely against the castle's defenders, who were fortified behind thick stone walls and armed with modern weaponry. The disparity in arms was stark. The samurai carried traditional swords and a limited supply of outdated firearms, while the imperial forces were equipped with rifles and artillery, ready to repel any attack. As the siege commenced, the samurai displayed extraordinary valor. They charged forward under heavy gunfire, their hearts fueled by the spirit of their ancestors. The battlefield became a brutal theater of war, with shouts of banzai echoing amid the thunderous blasts of cannon fire. Despite their bravery, the samurai found themselves facing insurmountable challenges. The defenders fought valiantly, using the advantages of their fortified position to inflict heavy casualties on the assailants. Days turned into a grueling test of endurance. Supplies dwindled, and the samurai felt the weight of their losses. In whispered conversations by night, they spoke of their fallen brothers, remembering each man's contribution to their cause. Yet even as the situation grew dire, the samurai's resolve remained unbroken. They were fighting not just for territory, but for the very essence of what it meant to be a samurai. The realization that this might be their last stand only fueled their determination to fight with honor, to give their all even in the face of defeat. As the rebellion gained momentum, the Meiji government, shaken by the growing insurrection, issued a decisive decree. The emperor himself, once a figure of hope and unity, now declared Saigo and his followers traitors to the empire. This proclamation sent ripples of shock through Japan, branding the samurai not as defenders of honor but as enemies of the state. For Saigo, this decree was a painful betrayal. He had once believed in the emperor's vision for a modern Japan, a Japan that could stand alongside Western powers. Yet, the very government he had fought to establish was now declaring war on the ideals he cherished. The declaration stirred a mix of anger and despair among his followers, who felt their loyalty had been repaid with disdain. In the wake of this proclamation, Saigo's reputation as a noble warrior began to transform into that of a fugitive. With each passing day, as news of the rebellion spread, the samurai faced increasing hostility from loyalist factions. They had once been respected, revered even, but now they were seen as relics of a bygone era, standing in the way of progress. This transition from respected warriors to hunted rebels added a heavy burden to Saigo's shoulders. He knew that the fight ahead would not only be a physical battle but also a struggle for the very soul of Japan. In the face of overwhelming odds, Saigo stood before his men, a figure of resilience against the twilight sky. "Brothers!" he called out, his voice rising above the whispering winds. "This fight is not just for our homes, nor merely for the swords we wield. It is a battle for our very way of life, for the traditions that have defined us as samurai. Together, we will show them that we are not just warriors, we are the soul of Japan." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a fiery glow upon their faces, his words ignited a fierce determination within the hearts of his followers. They rallied around him, each man feeling the weight of his ancestors' honor resting upon his shoulders. Saigo's impassioned speech resonated deeply, evoking the spirit of the samurai who had fought and died before them, men who had held steadfast to their beliefs even when all seemed lost. United in purpose, the samurai prepared for what lay ahead. They were no longer just fighting for survival, they were fighting to reclaim their identity. The echoes of their oath filled the air as they vowed to protect their honor and the ideals they held dear. It was a moment of clarity for the warriors. This was their stand, their final testament to a way of life that could not be forgotten. As dawn broke over Shiroyama, the air was thick with anticipation and dread. This was to be the decisive battle, a final confrontation that would determine the fate of the samurai. Saigo, clad in his armor, surveyed his men, who stood resolute against the encroaching imperial forces. They were vastly outnumbered, but the spirit of defiance shone brightly in their eyes. The battle began with the sound of distant cannon fire, shaking the ground beneath their feet. The imperial army advanced with relentless precision, their ranks an unyielding wall of soldiers armed with rifles and cannons. Yet the samurai stood firm, drawing upon the strength of their ancestors and the training they had received over a lifetime. They charged forth, swords gleaming in the sunlight, their battle cries echoing against the hills. What unfolded was a fierce and chaotic clash of ideals. Each samurai fought not just for survival but for a legacy, their swords slicing through the air with purpose. They fought with the fervor of men who understood that this was more than a battle, it was a last stand for their very existence. As the battle raged on, the bravery of the samurai shone through, their spirit undeterred even in the face of death. However, as the imperial forces pressed on, the brutal reality of their situation became apparent. The samurai, although fierce, were outmatched by the firepower and numbers of the modern army. With each passing hour, they suffered devastating losses, yet their resolve only seemed to grow stronger. In this fierce maelstrom of steel and gunpowder, Saigo continued to fight valiantly, embodying the very essence of what it meant to be a samurai. As night fell, the once vibrant battlefield lay shrouded in a heavy silence, the echoes of battle replaced by the cries of the wounded and the mournful stillness of the fallen. The price of their defiance was steep, and as the dust settled, it became clear that the Satsuma Rebellion had met its tragic end. The samurai, despite their unwavering courage, had been overwhelmed by the imperial forces. Among the fallen was Saigo Takamori, the revered leader who had fought to preserve the essence of the samurai spirit. As he lay among his brothers, his life slowly fading away, he reflected on the journey that had brought him to this moment. In his final breaths, he felt a deep sense of peace, knowing that he had fought for honor, for loyalty, and for a vision of Japan that would live on in the hearts of his comrades. As the imperial soldiers began to take control of the area, they were met with the sight of the once proud samurai reduced to memories, their ideals clashing against the harsh realities of a changing world. But even in their defeat, the spirit of the samurai would not be easily extinguished. Their sacrifice would inspire future generations to remember the values of loyalty, honor, and courage in the face of adversity. The Satsuma Rebellion, while a tragic chapter in Japanese history, would become a testament to the resilience of the samurai spirit, a legacy that would endure long after the last sword was sheathed. The legacy of Saigo Takamori and the Satsuma Rebellion would resonate throughout Japan, evolving into a symbol of resistance against oppression. In the years that followed, as the Meiji Restoration took root, the ideals for which Saigo fought were woven into the fabric of Japan's national identity. Statues and memorials were erected, honoring his memory and the valiant stand of the samurai. In a country rapidly embracing modernization, Saigo's story became a poignant reminder of the sacrifices made for honor and tradition. He was not merely a warrior, he was a visionary who believed in the potential of Japan to balance its past with a promising future. As generations passed, the tale of the Satsuma Rebellion served as an important lesson on the delicate balance between change and tradition. Today, people from all walks of life visit his memorial, reflecting on the duality of progress and the importance of remembering one's roots. The samurai spirit, though transformed, lives on in the hearts of those who honor Saigo's legacy. In a rapidly changing world, his ideals remain a guiding light, urging future generations to uphold the values of courage, loyalty, and honor. In the quietude of a traditional tea house, scholars gather to explore the deeper meanings of the samurai culture that flourished in Japan. They sift through ancient texts, dissecting the philosophies that shaped the lives of these warriors. Discussions of Bushido, the way of the warrior, reveal a complex code that emphasized loyalty, honor, and self-discipline. These conversations transcend mere historical analysis. They evoke the spirit of the samurai and the profound impact they had on Japanese society. Scholars reflect on how the virtues of the samurai continue to influence modern values. Their examination sheds light on the resilience and integrity that characterize these warriors, qualities that remain relevant in contemporary Japan. As they sip their tea, the room resonates with stories of bravery and sacrifice, reminding them of the rich legacy that these samurai left behind. Their insights foster a deeper appreciation for the intertwining of history and culture, allowing a new generation to understand the profound implications of the samurai way. This connection to the past serves not only as a reminder of history but as a guiding principle for living honorably in today's world. In the realms of art and literature, the legacy of Saigo Takamori and the Satsuma Rebellion continues to inspire creativity. Artists wield their brushes to capture the valor of the samurai, portraying scenes of epic battles and poignant moments of loyalty and sacrifice. Musicians compose melodies that echo the spirit of the samurai, their tunes resonating with themes of honor and defiance. Through the written word, poets channel their emotions into verses that recount the tale of Saigo and his comrades. The samurai's struggles and triumphs are immortalized in works that speak to the heart, reminding audiences of the values that define humanity. Literature becomes a vessel for preserving the essence of the samurai spirit, ensuring that their stories are not lost to the sands of time. As the arts flourish, they serve as a tribute to the courage of those who stood for their beliefs. Saigo's legacy transforms into a rich tapestry woven with threads of creativity and inspiration, illustrating how the past can continue to influence the present. In celebrating the samurai, society acknowledges their profound contributions to culture, fostering a deeper understanding of what it means to live with integrity and purpose. The samurai spirit transcends borders, resonating with people around the world who admire the principles of honor and loyalty. As Japan becomes increasingly connected with the global community, the story of Saigo and the samurai reaches audiences far beyond its homeland. Cultural exchanges flourish as nations share their histories and traditions. In art galleries, exhibitions celebrate the beauty of samurai armor and the elegance of calligraphy, while seminars discuss the philosophy of Bushido, drawing parallels to modern concepts of integrity and leadership. The global impact of the samurai spirit encourages a dialogue about courage in the face of adversity. People from diverse cultures find inspiration in the tale of Saigo and his followers, seeing reflections of their struggles and values in the samurai's unwavering resolve. Through this shared understanding, the samurai legacy fosters unity and respect, reminding humanity of the timeless qualities that bind us all. As the sun sets over Japan, the spirit of the samurai remains alive in the hearts of those who honor their legacy. In dojos across the nation, young warriors practice martial arts, embodying the teachings of discipline and respect instilled by their ancestors. They learn not only the physical skills of combat but also the importance of humility, perseverance, and honor, the hallmarks of the samurai spirit. The Satsuma Rebellion, despite its tragic end, serves as a powerful reminder of the values that define humanity. It teaches us that the fight for what we believe in is a noble endeavor, one that transcends time and place. As we reflect on the journey of Saigo Takamori and his followers, we are reminded of the profound impact they had on shaping Japan's identity. In a rapidly changing world, the lessons of the samurai echo through the ages, urging us to uphold the virtues of loyalty and courage. The story of the Satsuma Rebellion becomes not just a chapter in history but a living testament to the enduring spirit of the samurai, one that inspires all who seek to live with honor and integrity.